Princess Olivia of the Aldorian Empire stood on the observation deck of the royal station, her violet skin gleaming under the triple suns. Behind her, the human called Jeffrey waited with his hands clasped behind his back, expressionless. "I don't need a babysitter," she said without turning. "Especially not a human one." Jeffrey didn't respond. He'd heard worse in his 3 years working security contracts across the galaxy. The Aldorians were a proud species, their empire spanning 200 systems. To them, humans were newcomers, barely worth notice. "Did you hear me?" Olivia spun around, her silver eyes flashing. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her presence commanding. Jeffrey, at 6 feet, looked small by comparison. "I heard you, Your Highness," he replied calmly. "Then leave. Tell my father I dismissed you." "I can't do that." Her jaw tightened. "You work for me now. I work for your safety. There's a difference." The royal station orbited Aldoria Prime, a massive structure housing 3,000 souls. It served as both a diplomatic hub and a fortress, equipped with shields that could withstand fleet bombardments. Or so the Aldorians believed. Jeffrey had studied the schematics during his shuttle ride. He'd noted 17 vulnerabilities. He didn't mention them. Nobody asked for a human's opinion on Aldorian engineering. Princess Olivia was the Emperor's youngest daughter, brilliant and outspoken. She'd recently advocated for peace negotiations with the KRYLL Syndicate, a militant faction that had been raiding outer colonies. Many in the royal court opposed her, calling her naive. The Emperor had assigned Jeffrey as her personal guard after 3 attempts on her life in 2 months. "How much did my father pay Earth for you?" Olivia asked, reviewing star charts at her console. "Enough." Fascinating conversation skills. Jeffrey's people had only joined the galactic community 30 years ago. They'd arrived in crude ships, offering raw materials and manual labor. Most species treated them as expendable workers. But humans had something others didn't: adaptability. Jeffrey had grown up on New Terra, a colony world where humans learned to survive in hostile environments. He'd joined private security at 19, working his way up through dangerous contracts. He'd protected mining operations from pirates, guarded diplomats through war zones, and once held a bunker alone for 14 hours against raiders. His record was impeccable. His reputation among aliens was non-existent. "Have you ever protected royalty before?" Olivia asked. "No." "Have you ever been to Aldoria?" "No." "Do you speak our language?" "Enough to understand when I'm being insulted." She blinked, surprised. Then she laughed, a sound like crystal chimes. "At least you're honest." The station's corridors gleamed with polished metal and flowing light sculptures. Aldorian architecture favored beauty over practicality. Every surface was art. Jeffrey preferred function. He followed 3 steps behind Olivia as she walked to the council chamber. She moved with fluid grace, acknowledging courtiers with slight nods. Whispers followed them. "Is that her human guard? I heard Earth creatures live barely 100 years. Primitive species. No wonder they need our protection." Jeffrey's expression never changed. Inside the council chamber, 12 high-ranking officials debated the KRYLL situation. Olivia presented her peace proposal: a neutral meeting, no weapons, diplomatic immunity for both sides. "Absolutely not," said Lord Varys, the military commander. His scales were deep blue, marking him as old guard. "The KRYLL understand only strength." "We've been at war for 6 years, Olivia countered. "How's strength working?" "Better than surrender." The debate lasted 2 hours. Jeffrey stood against the wall, watching exits and windows. He noted guard positions, emergency protocols, and which officials carried concealed weapons. 3 did. Poorly hidden. When Olivia finally left, her shoulders were tight with frustration. "They'll never listen," she muttered. "They're afraid," Jeffrey said. She stopped walking. "What?" "They're afraid that if you're right, they've wasted 6 years and thousands of lives." Olivia studied him with new attention. "You're more perceptive than you look." "Most people are, Your Highness." For the first time, she smiled at him without mockery. It vanished quickly, but Jeffrey saw it. Progress. That night, she dismissed him outside her quarters. "I'll be fine behind locked doors," she said. Jeffrey took position in the hallway. "You're not listening again." "I'm listening. I'm not leaving." She sighed and went inside. Over the following week, Olivia tried everything to shake Jeffrey. She woke at odd hours for walks. He followed. She attended cultural events he clearly didn't enjoy. He remained 2 steps behind. She introduced him to suitors, hoping jealousy or boredom would drive him away. He waited patiently by the door. "Don't you have a life?" she finally asked. "Not while I'm working." "What about hobbies? Friends? Someone waiting for you somewhere?" Jeffrey considered the question. "I like reading." "That's it? Reading? It's enough." She found his simplicity frustrating and somehow refreshing. Court life was built on layers of deception and ambition. Jeffrey simply existed, doing his job without agenda. It unnerved her. "Why did you take this assignment?" she asked one evening. "The pay is good. There's always more to it." Jeffrey was quiet for a moment. "Your father said you were trying to stop a war. I thought that was worth protecting." The KRYLL responded to Olivia's proposal. They agreed to meet. The court exploded with arguments. Lord Varys called it a trap. Olivia's supporters called it breakthrough. The emperor, caught between military advisors and his daughter's conviction, finally permitted the meeting with conditions. It would happen on the station. Maximum security. No weapons in the negotiation room. Jeffrey attended the preparation meetings, invisible as furniture. He watched the Eldorian guards plan their formations, their protocols, their response scenarios. All inadequate. "Your Highness," he said quietly after one session. Olivia paused. He rarely initiated conversation. "What is it?" "The security plan has gaps." Lord Varys overheard. "You dare question Eldorian military planning?" "I question any plan that leaves the princess exposed during a handoff between the outer dock and the secure room." "That corridor has 16 guards. And 43 sight line obstructions," Jeffrey replied evenly. The room went silent. Lord Varys's face darkened to deep purple. "You count sight lines?" "It's my job." "Your job is to stand there and look intimidating. You don't even manage that." Several officials laughed. Olivia felt unexpected anger rise. Jeffrey's expression remained neutral, but she noticed his jaw tighten slightly. "Thank you for your input," she said formally. Dismissed. Jeffrey bowed and left. Later, alone in her quarters, Olivia pulled up the corridor schematics. She walked through them virtually, noting the decorative pillars, the alcoves, the artistic installations. 43 obstructions. She'd counted. He was right. The next morning, she modified the security plan. The meeting would happen in the observatory instead, with clear sight lines and controlled access points. Lord Varys protested. The Emperor approved her change. Jeffrey never mentioned it. But when Olivia glanced his way, she thought she saw the ghost of approval in his eyes. The day before the KRYLL delegation arrived, Olivia couldn't sleep. She found Jeffrey in the guard room, reviewing surveillance feeds. "Don't you rest?" she asked. 4 hours a night. Enough. She sat down uninvited. Are you nervous? Always. His honesty surprised her. You don't show it. Fear is useful if you control it. Deadly if it controls you. Who taught you that? Experience. Olivia studied his profile. He had scars, she noticed. Small ones, easy to miss. One along his jawline. Another disappearing into his collar. What's the worst situation you've survived? She asked. Jeffrey considered whether to answer. Rebellion on a mining station. I was guarding an executive. 50 workers against 6 security personnel. Lasted 2 days before rescue arrived. How many of you survived? 2. And the executive? Alive. That's all that mattered. Olivia felt cold. That's a terrible philosophy. It's the job. The KRYLL delegation arrived on schedule. Their ship docked smoothly, and 5 representatives emerged in ceremonial armor. They were insectoid beings, with angular carapaces and multifaceted eyes that reflected light in unsettling ways. Olivia greeted them formally, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Jeffrey stood 3 steps behind her left shoulder. The lead KRYLL, ambassador thanks, clicked his mandibles in what translators rendered as amusement. The Eldorian princess brings a human pet. A human guard, Olivia corrected coolly. Is there a difference? Jeffrey's hand rested casually near his belt. No weapon, per the agreement, but his posture shifted subtly. Balanced. Ready. The KRYLL noticed. Aggressive little creature, thanks observed. Protective, Olivia said. Shall we proceed? She led them toward the observatory. Eldorian guards lined the route, resplendent in ceremonial armor. The KRYLL walked with confidence, clearly unintimidated. Everything proceeded perfectly. Until the alarms screamed. Unidentified ships emerging from jump, the station's AI announced. 12 vessels. Configuration matches KRYLL warships. Chaos erupted. Eldorian guards drew weapons. The KRYLL delegation scattered. Olivia stood frozen as Lord Varys's voice boomed through communications. Treachery. Seal all docks. Detain the delegation. Wait. Olivia shouted. This could be a third party trying to sabotage negotiations. Nobody listened. Jeffrey grabbed her arm. We need to move. Now. I can't abandon the delegates. If we imprison them, we prove we never wanted peace. If you die, peace dies with you. An explosion rocked the station's eastern sector. Shields flickered. Those ships are firing, Jeffrey said grimly. This isn't posturing. Olivia's mind raced. The delegation looked genuinely shocked. Ambassador Thanks was shouting in his own language, mandibles clicking frantically. He's disavowing them, Olivia said, her translator earpiece working overtime. He says these aren't syndicate ships. Doesn't matter what they are, Jeffrey replied. Matter is they're shooting and we're exposed. Another explosion, closer now. The lights flickered. Emergency protocols activated, bathing everything in red. Eldorian guards surrounded the KRYLL delegation, weapons raised. Thanks' bodyguards mirrored them, creating a tense standoff in the corridor. Everybody lower your weapons. Olivia commanded. No one moved. Jeffrey stepped forward, placing himself between Olivia and both groups. He had no weapon, no armor. Just his body and his conviction. The princess gave an order, he said quietly. Lord Varys appeared on a wall screen. Your Highness, get to the safe room immediately. We're evacuating the station. Not without resolving this, Olivia insisted. That's not a request. The third explosion took out a docking bay. The station shuddered. Gravity fluctuated for 3 terrifying seconds. Jeffrey remained steady. "Your Highness, please." Olivia saw something in his eyes then. Not fear. Not anger. Just absolute certainty that he would die before letting harm reach her. It shook her. "Fine," she said. "But the delegation comes with us." The safe room was in the station's core, protected by triple reinforced walls and independent life support. Getting there meant traversing 3 corridors now exposed to potential breaches. Aldorian guards led the way. The KRYLL delegation moved in the center, uncertain and frightened despite their warrior reputations. Olivia walked among them, showing solidarity. Jeffrey remained at her shoulder. "You should be afraid," she told him. "I am." "Then why are you so calm?" "Because you need me to be." They reached the first corridor junction when the attackers breached the station. Not KRWLL. Not Aldorian. Vorten mercenaries. 6 of them, heavily armed, moving with professional precision. They'd blown through an auxiliary airlock, bypassing the main defenses. The lead Aldorian guard went down before he could fire. Energy bolts filled the corridor. Jeffrey moved. He grabbed Olivia and pulled her behind a support column as the world exploded into violence. "Stay here," he commanded. "You don't have a weapon." He was already gone. Jeffrey moved like water, fluid and unpredictable. A Vorten mercenary aimed at the pinned Aldorian guards. Jeffrey hit him from the side, a strike to the weapon arm that sent the rifle clattering. A follow-up blow to the throat dropped the mercenary. Jeffrey caught the rifle before it hit the ground. He fired twice. 2 mercenaries fell. The remaining 3 focused on him. Energy bolts scorched the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Jeffrey rolled, came up firing, dropped behind cover. He'd bought the guards 5 seconds. They used it. Coordinated return fire drove the mercenaries back. 1 fell. Another retreated, wounded. The last one threw a concussive grenade. Jeffrey saw it arc through the air toward Olivia's position. He didn't think. He ran, diving, catching the grenade mid-flight. He had maybe 2 seconds. He threw it back. The explosion took the last mercenary and blew out a section of wall. Atmosphere screamed out into space. Emergency bulkhead slammed down, sealing the breach. Silence fell, broken only by alarms and labored breathing. Olivia emerged from cover, her ears ringing. Jeffrey stood in the center of the corridor, still holding the rifle, breathing hard. "You caught a grenade," she said stupidly. He looked at her, then down at his hands as if surprised. "Yeah. You could have died." That was the alternative. The Aldorian guard stared at him with new respect. Even Ambassador Thanks clicked his mandibles in what might have been approval. "We need to keep moving," Jeffrey said, snapping everyone back to reality. They reached the safe room without further incident. Inside, Lord Varys was coordinating the defense on multiple screens. The Emperor appeared on the main display, his expression grave. "Olivia, thank the stars," he said. "Father, what's happening?" "Vorten mercenaries. Someone hired them to attack during the negotiations. We're trying to determine who." Ambassador Thanks stepped forward. "Emperor, I swear on the Hive Mother, the Syndicate had no knowledge of this attack." "Convenient claim," Lord Varys growled. "Convenient truth," Olivia countered. "Someone wants this peace to fail. The question is who benefits." While strategists debated, Jeffrey checked the safe room's defenses. He found what he expected, strong, but not impenetrable. "How many mercenary ships?" he asked. Lord Varys glanced at him with irritation. 12. "Why? And how many have we destroyed?" 3. Our defense fleet is engaged, but we're outnumbered. They're not trying to destroy the station, Jeffrey observed. They're trying to get inside. Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, the Emperor commanded. Jeffrey pointed to the tactical display. Their fire is concentrated on docking bays and airlocks. They're creating entry points, not doing structural damage. This is an extraction or assassination operation. Lord Varys reviewed the data. His expression shifted from skepticism to alarm. He's right. They're trying to board us. How many could they land? Olivia asked. If they reach the bays. Potentially 300 soldiers. The safe room suddenly felt less safe. Jeffrey was already calculating. How many guards do we have on station? 70. Not good odds. The debate that followed was heated. Some wanted to evacuate the Emperor's daughter immediately. Others argued the transport would be vulnerable. Ambassador Thanks offered his ship's assistance, which Lord Varys refused. Jeffrey listened to all of it, then spoke. Your Highness, I need to ask you something. Olivia turned to him, grateful for his steady presence. What? How important is this peace to you? It's everything. It could save thousands of lives. Worth risking your own. She hesitated. What are you suggesting? Jeffrey looked at the screens showing approaching mercenary forces. They're coming for you specifically. If you're not here, the attack loses purpose. But if we run, we look guilty, and the KRYLL will think it's an Eldorian plot. So what do? We trust Ambassador Thanks. We combine forces. And we show whoever hired these mercenaries that attacking an Eldorian KRYLL alliance was a terrible mistake. The room erupted in objections. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. The human speaks with wisdom. Ambassador Thanks, will your people fight alongside ours? Thanks's mandibles clicked rapidly. For peace. Yes. For the princess who risked everything for it. Absolutely. The battle plan came together quickly. Eldorian guards would hold the main corridors. KRYLL bodyguards, skilled in close combat, would defend the critical junctions. Jeffrey would coordinate from a central position, using his experience with asymmetric warfare. Lord Varys hated taking direction from a human. But the Emperor overruled him. Pride, the Emperor said coldly, is a luxury we cannot afford. The mercenaries breached 3 docking bays simultaneously. They moved in organized squads, professional and lethal. Vorten warriors were feared across the galaxy for good reason. The first squad hit the eastern corridor. Eldorian guards met them with energy weapons and tactical barriers. The fighting was brutal and close. The second squad went west. KRYLL bodyguards ambushed them from ceiling vents, using their natural climbing abilities to devastating effect. The third squad went straight for the central shaft leading to the safe room. Jeffrey was waiting. He'd positioned himself with 4 Eldorian guards in a narrow bottleneck. The mercenaries had superior numbers and firepower. But Jeffrey had something they didn't. Desperation. The first exchange lasted 30 seconds. 2 guards went down, wounded but alive. Jeffrey pulled them to cover while returning fire. The mercenaries advanced behind portable shields. Jeffrey's mind raced through options. Standard tactics wouldn't work. He needed to think differently. He grabbed a plasma torch from an emergency kit. Cover me, he told the remaining guards. What are you doing? One demanded. Something stupid. He ignited the torch and cut through the floor panel, exposing the power conduits beneath. Then he fired his rifle into them. The corridor exploded with electrical discharge. Mercenary shields overloaded. Their systems went dark. In the 3 seconds of chaos, Jeffrey moved. He crossed the distance between positions before the mercenaries could react. Close combat, no room for rifles. Hand to hand, where his smaller size became an advantage in the cramped space. A Vorton reached for a blade. Jeffrey broke his arm. Another tried to grapple him. Jeffrey used the mercenary's own momentum to send him crashing into his companions. The Eldorian guards recovered and opened fire. The squad broke. Across the station, the tide turned. The Eastern mercenaries found themselves in a crossfire between Eldorian precision and Kryll ferocity. They retreated to their ships. The Western squad suffered worse. Kryll warriors fought with ancestral rage, defending the peace their ambassador had promised. Word spread through mercenary communications, the contract wasn't worth dying for. They began withdrawing. Jeffrey watched them retreat through security feeds, his body aching from a dozen impacts he'd barely noticed during the fight. Olivia appeared beside him. She'd left the safe room against everyone's advice. "You held them," she said, voice filled with wonder. "We held them," Jeffrey corrected, nodding to the wounded Eldorian guards receiving medical attention. "You fought 3 squads. I fought 1. Others fought the rest." She grabbed his arm, forcing him to look at her. "Why? Why risk everything for a species that's treated yours like servants?" Jeffrey met her silver eyes. "Because you were trying to end a war. That's worth dying for." Silence stretched between them. Then Olivia did something that shocked everyone watching. She bowed to him. A princess of the Eldorian Empire, bowing to a human. The mercenary fleet jumped away, their mission failed. Station damage was significant but reparable. Casualties numbered 23 wounded, 4 dead. 2 Eldorian, 2 Kryll. They held a joint memorial service. Olivia and Ambassador Thanks stood together, speaking words of honor for the fallen. The sight of Eldorian and Kryll united in grief moved everyone present. Investigation revealed the truth. A coalition of military suppliers from both sides had hired the Vortons. They'd profited from the war and feared peace. The culprits were arrested within days. The Emperor addressed the galaxy, Olivia at his right side, Ambassador Thanks at his left. "Today, we declare the war ended," he announced. "Not through conquest, but through courage. Not through strength alone, but through trust." He paused, then gestured to Jeffrey, standing in his usual position behind Olivia. "We also recognize that wisdom comes from unexpected sources. That a human guard showed us the path forward when we were blind to it." Jeffrey looked uncomfortable with the attention. Olivia smiled. The peace treaty was signed 2 weeks later. Olivia insisted Jeffrey attend as part of the Eldorian delegation. Lord Varys objected until the Emperor made it a direct order. At the ceremony, leaders from both empires praised the new alliance. Trade agreements were proposed. Cultural exchanges planned. The future suddenly looked bright. Afterward, Olivia found Jeffrey on the observation deck, watching the stars. "Your contract is complete," she said. "I know. Where will you go?" "Another assignment." "There's always another assignment." She stood beside him, silent for a moment. "I spoke with my father. We'd like to offer you a position. Captain of the Royal Guard." Jeffrey turned to her, surprised. "I'm not qualified. You held off an army to protect me." "I held off 1 squad." "Stop being humble. It's annoying." He almost smiled. "Your Highness, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not a captain. I'm not a leader. I'm just someone who does his job. And if I made it an order?" "You can't order me. My contract's expired, remember?" Olivia laughed, and this time it was genuine warmth, not mockery. "You know what I realized," she said. "I spent my whole life surrounded by people who tell me what I want to hear. You're the first person who just tells me the truth. The truth is easier. Less to remember. The truth is terrifying, she countered. It means risking everything for what you believe in. Like you did. Jeffrey shook his head. I didn't risk anything. I just did my job. You keep saying that, but it's not true. You had a choice. When that grenade came toward me, you could have taken cover. When the mercenaries attacked, you could have retreated to the safe room. Every moment, you chose to stand. He didn't respond. Why? Olivia asked softly. Jeffrey was quiet for a long time. Because someone has to. And I'd rather it be me than someone else. She understood then. He wasn't fearless. He was terrified, constantly, of failing to protect someone. But he did it anyway. That was true courage. Will you at least stay for the celebration? She asked. I don't celebrate. I'm making it an order. You still can't order me. I'm asking. As a friend. Jeffrey looked at her. Friends? If you'll have me. He smiled then, genuinely. Yes, Your Highness. The celebration lasted 3 days. Jeffrey attended reluctantly but found himself enjoying parts of it. Ambassador Thanks taught him a KRYLL drinking song. Lord Varys actually apologized for underestimating him. The Emperor himself shared a private conversation about Earth and its remarkable people. On the final night, Olivia pulled Jeffrey aside. I have something for you, she said, handing him a small box. Inside was a medal, Aldorian craftsmanship, depicting 2 hands clasped together. One clearly human, one clearly Aldorian. The Order of Unity, she explained. Created today. You're the first recipient. Your Highness, I can't accept this. It's not for you. It's for every human who'll come after you. So they know that one of their own stood equal with empires. Jeffrey looked at the medal, then at her. Thank you. No, Jeffrey. Thank you. They stood together on the observation deck one last time, watching the diplomatic ships depart, carrying news of peace across the galaxy. You'll come back? Olivia asked. If you need me. I'll always need someone who tells me the truth. Jeffrey smiled. Then I'll come back. 6 months later, Jeffrey did return. Not as a guard, but as an ambassador. Earth's government, recognizing his role in the peace, appointed him as a diplomatic liaison to the Aldorian Empire. Olivia greeted him personally at the docking bay. Ambassador, she said formally. Your Highness, he replied. Then they both smiled. How does it feel? She asked as they walked. Being important. Uncomfortable. I preferred being invisible. Too late for that. You're a symbol now. The human who stood alone and changed everything. Jeffrey shook his head. I didn't change anything. I just did what needed doing. That's exactly what changed everything. She was right, though he'd never fully accept it. Across the galaxy, humans were being seen differently. Not as primitives or servants, but as equals. Partners. Allies. All because one man had stood his ground when it mattered. They reached Olivia's office, where treaties and proposals awaited Jeffrey's input. Real work, important work, building the peace they'd fought to protect. Ready? Olivia asked. Jeffrey looked at the future stretching before them, uncertain but hopeful. Ready, he said. And together, they began.